Okay, we are live.
Yes, live streamed.
Good evening. My
Good
name is
evening.
Isaac Heschel, and I am the chairperson of this CAB board, Community Action Board. Welcome. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to join and participate in these crucial meetings. I hope everyone had a nice summer, a nice Labor Day weekend, and moving forward with fall and then winter, hopefully things will go well for everyone. We'll begin with the roll call. I'll ask our secretary, Susan Tenenbaum, to be so kind and do the roll call.
It would be my pleasure to call the roll, Chairperson. Good evening, everyone. I'm about to call the roll, and when I call your name, please either say here or present. Office of City Council Speaker Adrian Adams, Lynette Shelburne Barfield.
Present.
Oh, hello, Lynette.
Hello.
Hi, good to see you.
Office of the Mayor, Eric Adams, Community Affairs Unit. Is anyone representing the mayor's CAU? Office of New York State Assembly Member Jeffrey and Aubrey Louise Emanuel.
Here.
Good evening, Louise.
Hi, good evening.
From Boricua College, Moises Pereira. Or Ismael Sanchez. From Region 14, representing Brooklyn NDAs 11, 13, and 15, Victoria Camarota Curto, I believe she has been excused. From Region 16, representing Queens NDAs 1, 2, and 5, Claudia Koger. Is Claudia here? Okay. Region 4, representing Bronx NDA 7 and 8, Yesenia Cordona.
Here. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, Yesenia. From Region 2, representing Bronx NDAs 3 and 4, Cynthia Cox. Okay. Representing forgive me, NAB Chairperson Representative from Manhattan and Staten Island, Ileana de la Rosa.
Good evening, present.
Good evening. Was that Ileana?
Yes, you pronounced it correctly. Thank you.
Great. Welcome. Representing Doc Go, Second Vice Chairperson Gregory Hambrick.
Present.
Good evening, Greg.
Good evening.
Representing the Office of Bronx Borough President Vanessa Gibson, Monica Major. Or Angel Gao Jr. From Region 11, Brooklyn NDA 7, 10, and 12, Chairperson Isaac Heschel.
Present.
Good evening, Chairperson.
Good evening.
Representing Office of Manhattan Borough President Mark Levine, Marielle Ali.
Present.
Good evening, Marielle.
Good evening, everyone.
From Region 15, Brooklyn, representing NDAs 14 and 17, Parliamentarian Rhonda Joseph. Is Rhonda Joseph here? Okay. Region 12, representing Brooklyn NDAs 3, 8, and 9, Wayne King.
Present. Present.
Good evening, Wayne. From Region 17, representing Queens NDAs 3, 4, and 7, Paul Mai.
Good evening.
Good evening, Paul. From Morris Heights Health Center, Gideon Dunkley. believe Gideon.
I'm present. I'm present. I'm
Good
sorry.
evening, Gideon. That's fine.
Good
that's
evening,
fine.
everyone. Hope you all had a wonderful weekend.
Thank you. From Neighborhood Housing Services of Staten Island, Joseph Pierre. Joseph Pierre here. From Office of Staten Island Borough President Vito Fasella, is there a representative? From Region 6, representing Bronx NDAs 11 and 12, Mrs. Vasumati Patel.
Present.
Good evening, Mrs. Patel. Representing Office of Brooklyn Borough President Antonio Reynoso, Astrid Quas.
Good evening, present.
Good evening, Astrid. From the Office of Queensborough President Donovan Richards, Secretary Susie Tannenbaum, that's me. And our alternate rep is Ludi Honor. I don't know if Ludi's here. Region 8, representing Manhattan, NDAs 7, 9, and 12, Jackie Rowe Adams.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening, Jackie. Welcome. Representing St. Francis College, Tirani Street. Or Leah Schmerl. Representing the Office of New York City Comptroller, Brad Lander, Antirson Ortiz. Antirson wrote in the chat log that he was having some audio issues.
I'm currently here.
You're here, yeah.
Thank you,
welcome.
appreciate it.
Okay. From Region 9, representing Manhattan, NDAs 10 and 11, Derek Tate.
Here.
Welcome, Derek. From Region 13, representing Brooklyn, NDAs 5 and 16, Christopher Toomer.
Present.
Good evening, Christopher.
Good evening.
From UJ Federation of Jewish Philanthropy, New York City, 3rd Vice Chairperson, Ariel Savransky.
Here.
Welcome, Ariel. From United Neighborhood Houses, Nora Moran.
Present.
Good evening, Nora. From UPS, Janet Dlugos.
Present. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, Janet. From Region 19, Staten Island, NDA 1, First Vice Chairperson, Linda Walters.
Present.
Good evening, Linda. Welcome. From Region 7, Bronx, NDA 9, Justin Westbrook Lowry. Justin here. From Office of New York City Public Advocate, Jumani Williams, Elizabeth Kennedy.
Present. Good evening.
Good evening, Elizabeth. NAB Chairperson Representative from Brooklyn, Patty Ann Williams.
You wrote in the chat, she's here.
Okay, good evening, Patty Ann. And I believe that is the roll.
We have quorum.
Excellent.
Excellent. That's great.
Susie, great job.
Yes.
Yes, yes, Susie.
Thank you. Recognizing the election of Ms. Elena De La Rosa, Chairperson of NAB Manhattan 9, as the NAB Chairperson Representative for Manhattan and Staten Island, we would like to welcome you, and I would accept a motion to recognize and have Elena join the board. Motion,
Jackie Rowe Adams.
Jackie Rowe Adams, seconded.
Vasumati Patel.
Ms. Patel, thank you. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any nays? Anyone abstaining? So moved. Welcome aboard.
Thank you very much. I look forward to working with all of you and serving the CAP.
Thank you. We're delighted to have you on board, and I'm sure you'll be a valuable asset to this board.
Thank you.
I will now recognize Mariella Ali as the representative for the Manhattan Borough President Mark Levine's office and read the following letter. July 5th, 2022, dear Mr. Heschel, pursuant to Article 3, Section 1B of the Community Action Board bylaws for the City of New York, I am designating Marielle Ali as my representative at the Community Action Board meetings, taking the place of Christopher Carroll. Ms. Ali may be reached by email or by telephone, and numbers and contact information has been enclosed. Sincerely, Mark Levine, Manhattan Borough President.
Okay.
I will entertain a motion to accept and recognize Marielle Ali.
Motion accepted.
Linda, thank you. Seconded by?
Second by Greg Hamburg.
Greg, thank you for the second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any nays? Anyone abstaining? So moved. Marielle is with us. Marielle, if you would like to say a few words, welcome aboard.
Thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. I have two kids in the background, so
It's
probably
okay.
remain muted for most of the call, but looking forward to working with all of you and serving along all of you. Thank you very much.
Kids are welcome. They're our future.
Yes.
Absolutely. Well said. Thank you, Marielle. In your board packet was the minutes for the CAB meeting that we had on April 7th. I will now entertain a motion to accept the minutes from that meeting.
Motion to accept, Chris Toomer.
Chris, thank you. Seconded by?
Linda.
Rhonda.
Linda, thank you for the second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any nays? Anyone abstaining? So moved. Also included in the packet was the CAB calendar for meetings for the fiscal year 2023. I will now entertain a motion to accept the calendar. Motion,
Motion by Ariel.
Ariel, thank you. Seconded by?
Linda.
Linda, thank you for the second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any nays? Anyone abstaining? So moved. Thank you. We'll now ask Astrid Spoda-Wolf, the Director of Analytics for the DYCD, to give us an update on the 2022 Community Needs Assessment. Astrid?
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes, good
Great.
evening.
Good evening, everybody. Nice to see you all. So yeah, I wanted to update you all on where we're at with the community needs assessment, as well as ways that you all could support us in getting as many people to take the survey as possible to have a representative sample of people in New York. Right now, we currently have 3,717 responses. Most of the surveys, 1,259 of them come from Brooklyn, followed by Queens, 824. The Bronx has 792 surveys. Manhattan has 618, and Staten Island has 224. So again, mostly concentrated in Brooklyn at the moment. We have translated the survey in 10 languages. We do have surveys collected in all languages so far. Most are in English, followed by Spanish and Chinese. But again, we do have at least one survey in every language so far. In terms of like the neighborhoods that have the most responses in Brooklyn, Bay Ridge, Coney Island, and Brownsville have the most respondents thus far. In Queens, Jackson Heights, Jamaica, Far Rockaway have the most responses thus far. In Manhattan, by quite a lot, the Lower East Side has the most responses, followed by Harlem. And in Staten Island, I'm sorry, in the Bronx, Morrisania, Tremont, and Claremont Village have the most responses. And Staten Island has one NTA, so I'm sorry, NDA, so the distribution is not available for Staten Island. So that's kind of a breakdown of where we're at so far in terms of responses. Our goal is to have 200 per NTA. Last time we did approximately 13,000 surveys, and we want to beat and exceed that number this time. So we do have a bit to go. So we would love if you guys could in any way help distribute this survey so we can get these numbers up. I don't know if this group received the CNA toolkit, but if you didn't, I'm sure the NAB team can, the NABLU team can send it out to you all. We do have a toolkit that gives you language for any type of communication. It can go to any New York City resident 14 and over. And so, you know, you can all send it to your networks, whether it's through a listserv or through your social media, whether it's emails to your professional contact. Anybody and everybody basically is welcome and encouraged to take it. We do have scripts that you can utilize, just copy and paste it for all the different modes of communication. Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, email, and yeah, just like we have scripts for that. We also have description of what the needs assessment is, where people could go if they have questions, etc. So I do encourage you all to blast out to as many people as possible so that we could exceed our goals this year. I see a question in the chat. If you could remind me of the number of Manhattan responses. Of course, right now we have 618 responses from Manhattan out of the 3,717 total. And I will put in the chat the link to the survey. You all also can take it. You are New York City residents, so you know it's anybody who lives in New York City can take it. And here is the link in the chat. So feel free to send it out and also take it yourself. We'd love to hear everybody's voices. Any questions, comments?
So I've sent out the survey link and also the toolkit to the members, I believe twice, but I can send it out again.
Yes, I like to reinforce the toolkit, right, to make it easy. Yeah.
Because Yesenia was telling us today that the toolkit has been updated and there's new stuff in it. So I will send it out again. Any help you can give us, we appreciate.
We have two hands raised, Anita. We have Susan and also Ms. Bayfield. Ms. Barfield.
Ms. Barfield. Okay.
Yes.
Susie.
Any questions for Astrid?
You're Apologies, I was muted. I wanted to piggyback on the previous question. Astrid, could you please go over the numbers for each borough?
Of course.
So we can write those down. And also, did I hear you correctly that currently the total number is 3,717 and that last year it was 13,000?
3 years ago, yeah. Last
years
time,
ago, I'm
yeah, we
sorry,
do it
last
every,
time.
no, I know, it feels like
Yeah.
last year, right? The pandemic doesn't count in my head. Yeah, last time it was approximately 13,000. Yes, we are currently only at 3,717. I'll write in the chat everything because I know it's like hard to remember the numbers, right?
Thank you.
But again, Brooklyn has 1,259. Queens 824, Bronx is 792, Manhattan is 618, and Staten Island's 224. So yeah, we do hope to get the number up. Like DYCD and the NABLU staff are obviously, we've been reaching out to our participants, our providers. Like we expect to do a big blast to our summer youth employment program participants pretty soon. So we do think that's quite a large pool. We're just waiting for their program to be wrapped up. So we do think we'll get a lot of numbers there, but obviously we want to get it up as high as we can.
When does the survey close?
That's a good question. Go ahead, Anita.
I believe it's going to the end of October, but if we're not close to any numbers that we would like, it'd probably be extended.
Yeah, we're willing to keep it open as long as we need
as
to.
possible. I think Lynette had her hand up also.
Yes.
Hi, you all. Good evening again.
Good evening.
This may be a stretch, but is there any known or even current group initiatives or anything that could be implemented in that way or are already implemented? Perhaps like fun competitions within, maybe community groups or something. Is that something that ever existed or exists now? Just a thought. I always like.
No, it's a great thought. It's a great thought. You always bring good thoughts to things that we're doing. We just had 2 meetings with the NAB, and some of the CAB members participated, asking what they've been doing and what they would like to do. And we had a number of suggestions of things to do, like partnering with a grocery store and putting a table outside and maybe having the owners donate cookies or something to give to people. So, and then also with, I think Yesenia, who's the head of our strategic communications, was saying that some of the bigger stores like Target, they operate independently. So where they wouldn't be open for DYCD to go in there and ask for a donation, they may be open for a community group to come in and ask, and also ask to have a table outside to survey. So, and then they also suggested all of the local newspapers to put the flyers in there. And we will be getting the paper surveys within the next 2 weeks, I hope. And that's going to make some things a little more easier for the people who are not too interested in using the computer to fill out the survey.
Yeah,
so that's coming up.
Yeah, and I was only thinking, I know it's a stretch because you're talking every New Yorker, but
Yeah.
particularly just as a quick example, and then I will end my thought on it in terms of like, say, groups like CEC groups, PTA groups, where maybe it might just be a certificate sent, we completed, the survey, just something.
Yeah, that's a good idea too. Yeah, we do. Most of our members said that they were participating that way, that they were going to stand outside of the schools as the parents pick up the children and have them fill it out. And then also to go to the where the youth gather around in the basketball courts and the handball courts and skating around the park. Also because the minimum age to fill out the survey is 14. And the maximum age is anybody who feels like it. So we're trying to get to everybody, and also senior centers, the hospitals, faith-based institutions, and they have a lot of ideas, and there were ideas that DYCD can help out with promotion And our strategic communications will be putting together a handbook, sort of like a handbook. And we will have the surveys will be in a variety of, and flyers in the different languages is another item that they asked for. So that's being worked on as well. So so we're trying different ways and different venues, and we'll see how it goes. We should be able, yeah. And there's still some family days planned for the fall in some of the NYCHA developments. So we will attend any and all events to get these surveys done. But thank you for your suggestion.
You're welcome. Thank you for your response. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Okay.
Astrid, thank you so much for the update. We appreciate the outstanding work that you do. I will now entertain a motion to accept the update. Motion to accept.
So moved, Gideon Dunkley.
Gideon, thank you. Seconded by
Ariel.
Ariel, thank you for the second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any nays? Anyone abstaining? So moved. We'll now ask the Associate Commissioner Ron Zan to present the Commissioner's report. Commissioner?
Hi, Chairperson. Good evening, everybody. Hope you all had a great summer. So, and also off to a good start in September when school starts and programs start. You know, we initially hoped that our Commissioner Keith Howard would be able to attend today, but he regrets that he is unable to do so. The Commissioner and the Deputy Commissioner Mike Bobbitt and others, they are in the Bronx now at the Islamic Culture Center meeting with faith-based leaders and colleagues from the city's Department for the Aging to discuss positive alternatives for youth in that area in response to recent incidents of elder abuse. And also, you know, along with this issue, DYCD has been meeting with stakeholders on key citywide issues, including gun violence and migrants seeking asylum. So we hope that the Commissioner would be able to attend our next CAP in full meeting in November. I believe, you know, we have already put it on his calendar, right, Anita?
Yes,
Okay.
it is on his calendar for November.
Okay, great. All right, I'll say a few words about the, you know, the National Community Action Partnership Convention, the NCAP convention. I'm sure you have heard of that. It was held at the New York Marriott Marquis in Times Square from August 31st through September 2nd. DYCD took center stage and co-hosted the convention. So the opening session featured a greetings video from Mayor Eric Adams and welcome remarks from Commissioner Keith Howard and other dignitaries. As part of the convention, the NCAP conference attendees visited historic underground railroad sites and learned about the civil rights and social justice movement in Harlem. DYCD provided attendees with a free bus tour of some New York City attractions, including historic Harlem, Yankee Stadium, Queens Botanic Garden, and Coney Island. They also visited, you know, 4 DYCD CSBG funded programs and just to see programs in action. DYCD NAB staff and other CD staff played significant parts at the convention, handling most of the pre-convention work, such as stuffing bags, attending to registration for attendees, answering questions at the DYCD booth, conducting site visits and tours of the city that enabled 100 attendees to see community action in action, as well as DYCD, as well as New York City sites of interest. You know, it's a lot of work. DYCD staff, you know, NAB staff worked real hard. You know, there were about 1,500 attendees from all over the country that were at the convention. You know, just think about the, you know, the workload in terms of stuff in the bags and handling registration. So, you know, a great thank you to all the staff. And at the convention, DYCD staff delivered 5 workshops at there, and including an overview of our participant tracking system, PTS. I don't know, many of you probably have heard about this system. This is a newly developed database system that records and keeps data of all the program participants' DYCD funds. So that's a great system, and we did an overview of that system and did a walkthrough of how DYCD devised our updated equity statement, and there was a review of this year's Spring into Health campaign and a discussion among fatherhood providers about current promising practices. Last but not least, our own Anita shared, you know, insights about the CAB and the NABs as a panelist in a panel discussion focused on strategies for recruiting and engaging volunteers. Great job, Anita. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
And, you know, the convention was NCAP's largest ever. And as I just mentioned, about over 1,500 in-person attendees there. And it drew a team from U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, the federal agency that administers CSBG nationally. While in town, HHS visited the CAAs in Yonkers and Nassau County, as well as DYCD. Site visits were arranged to Bronx Works English language program, Mercy Center's immigrant services and literacy programs, and Forestdale's fatherhood program. Deputy Commissioner Bobbitt met with the HHS and the New York State EOS teams at each site. We also brought together the commissioner and members of the executive cabinet to meet with the HHS team, along with the New York State Secretary of State and the Deputy Secretary of State for Economic Development. The result of all this is HHS being blown away by the depth and commitment of our providers and the glowing testimony of many CSBG program participants whose lives have been changed for the better due to CSBG funding and their attendance in these programs. Towards the close of the convention, HHS delivered a presentation and acknowledged DYCD and New York State Department of State for the tour of programs. Then, you know, a quick update on the NDA-RFP. As you all know, out of 111 total NDA competitions, the release of the RFP has resulted in 102 awards so far. So these new programs have a contract start date of July 1, and most programs have started, and some are starting now in September. So we now have new NDA-specific brochures that list all the program types funded in each of the NDAs. Thanks again to the CAB and the NAB members who participated in the evaluation process. As for the rest of competitions, DYCD is reissuing 5 RFPs to cover them for specific NDAs. So these RFPs are for healthy families, high school, immigrant services, application assistance, immigrant services, ESL civics, crime prevention and safety awareness. DYCD's objective is to identify providers and awardees and have services start on January 2023. That's for the reissued RFP and newly identified providers. Both Anita and Astrid just covered community needs assessment. I'll just say quickly that electronic survey is out there. It's on DYCD's website, on social media platforms, and just a reminder that the data collected will let us know what has changed since 2019 and what now are the highest priority needs for each neighborhood. DYCD will also compile and share the data with other city agencies. So the survey has been sent to the CAB and NAB members along with the social media toolkit. And then once again, following Anita and Astrid, I'm asking all of you to share this survey with your networkers through email and social media. This includes, the family members, friends, everybody, since every New Yorker is welcome to take the survey. Anita mentioned earlier, the paper survey is being prepared and it will be ready and made available within the next 2 weeks, I think. So we're looking forward to having that. And we know that, young people probably, will do better job at using the electronic survey. But, for the elderly, for the seniors, for a lot of other people who are not that savvy at using, their phones or technology, and the paper survey is still great for use, and it's easier actually when you have to assist somebody. So we're expecting that to be available soon. Public hearings are ongoing in each NDA and are being promoted widely. All hearings are also streamed live, and testimony is also taken remotely. We encourage CAB members to help us spread the word across their networks. In an effort to support and market this, the CNNA DYCD has provided training and brainstorming sessions where NAB members actually shared ideas, strategies, and plans for promoting the CNN. And Anita just earlier gave some, examples of that. That was we just yesterday and today we had 2 sessions, and I was at both of them, heard a lot of great ideas from folks. It was really great. And also, staff is working with DYCD's Intergovernmental Affairs Unit to have the mayoral appointees seated on the CAB and to schedule and we're trying to schedule an information session for staff of elected officials who have seats on the NABs. We are, for our DYCD NAB and CAB liaison unit, as you all know, that we have lost staff in the last few months. So we are now in the process of interviewing candidates for the 2 liaison positions vacant since Lisa and Candice left the agency. We look forward to bringing that process to resolution very soon. That's all for the report. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any questions for the Commissioner? Commissioner, thank you so much for your report. It was so concise that no one has any questions for you.
Thank you. Thank you all.
We appreciate the work you do. And I will echo one thing you certainly said And that is the outstanding work that Anita does all the time.
Yes.
Here. I'll
Uh,
second that. I'll second that.
Thank
We
you
don't have
all.
to, we don't have to vote on that, but I know that will be unanimous.
Thank you all.
But we do have to vote on the commissioner's report, so I'll entertain a motion to accept.
Motion for Jackie Rowe Adams.
Jackie Rowe Adams,
Gideon
thank
Dunkley,
you.
Second.
Gideon, thank you for the second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any nays? Anyone abstaining? So moved.
I have one question though.
Go ahead.
With the immigrants that are coming in from Texas, what role is DYCD playing, if any, in trying to accommodate them in terms of training or housing or anything to that effect? It might not be an appropriate question for DYCD, but I just want to see, you know, what role, if any, DYCD is playing. Thank you.
I mean, it's certainly a very a relevant question. Yeah, it is relevant to DYCD. We are now actually, as an agency, working with other city agencies, assessing, you know, the need out there, and we are actually doing a survey of all our programs to see, you know, the influx and the impact, and what's, you know, what needs to be expanded and strengthened to serve the people. We understand that, you know, because a lot of people come, you know, are here with the families, and it has been difficult, right, to actually, you know, placing families, let's say, in a shelter than a individual, a person. So it is a lot of work that it needs to be coordinated. We understand that the state has, you know, the state and New York City, through the Mayor's Office of Immigrant Affairs, have funded some agencies to do the intake, to place people immediately to different places. But, you know, as people are settling in, and of course, a lot of services are needed. And we are, as I just said, we are conducting a agency-wide, you know, citywide survey to assess the needs and plan accordingly.
What about the providers? Because you have providers from DYCD who also provide some of these social services.
Yeah, we are actually surveying our providers and to see, you know, what we can do to help them, you know, to provide the additional services that's needed. And we have heard, you know, anecdotally from some providers, you know, for example, I've heard from one of our literacy agencies, Gulith, saying that, you know, there's, you know, they have an influx of people into their classrooms. They are seeking, you know, additional space for classrooms. So, you know, these are the things that, you know, we want to be able to get data and be able to, you know, formally, you know, provide the necessary assistance.
Okay, one last one. What about the budget? How is this going to affect the budget going forward?
Well, I mean, you know, so at this point, you know, I have no idea how we're going to do it, but I'm sure there, you know, the city hall, the mayor, you know, we've been asked to actually assess the needs, to survey, you know, the communities and the providers. So that means, you know, once we know what's needed and the resources, information will be provided.
Ms.
Thank you.
Barfield?
Thank you, Commissioner, for that response.
Sure.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Ms. Barfield?
Oh, yes, thank you. I just want, can you tell me again, which information session for elected officials and staff did you mention you were looking to host?
Oh, you mean the Yeah, we are working with our external relations office. You know, we want to have a information session with Anita, is it with the council members?
No, it was supposed to be, it was supposed to be with all elected officials. However, I had mentioned more than once that Ms. Barfield had offered to help put together the city council since she's representing the speaker in a information session. So I think we need to work with her and work with our intergovernmental affairs to get that to happen, because the sooner we make it happen, then they understand what we're doing here and why they need to recommend members to the neighborhood advisory board, why they need to come to the meetings here and the CAB if they're selected to be a mayoral appointee. So hopefully, Lynette, we can get together and have that happen.
Okay,
Yeah.
we can continue to talk about that for sure.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
Thank
and the gentleman in charge of the external relations actually informed us yesterday that he's presenting this, idea and plan to the commissioner for review. I think it'll happen. And thank you for asking that.
Thank you for your response. Thank you.
Well, now we ask Artis Sanmugan, the Senior Budget Director, to present the financial program quarterly report. Artis?
Good afternoon, good evening all. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Welcome to all the new members. I look forward to seeing the amazing work that you'll do in this group. I am the Senior Budget Director at DYCD with responsibility for the community development programs. I am going to present the financial report on city fiscal year 23. I'm sure, as most of you know, the city fiscal year runs from July 1st, 2022 to June 30th, 2023. To date, we have $32.9 million, actually $33 million rounded up in our CSBG portfolio. I'm going to be focusing a lot more on the budget because, as you can see, our expenses, which are only July's expenses so far, is very low, which is very normal. No need to be worried that this low spending at this time of year will continue through the rest of the year. We expect to close the year the way we've always had, in a very high spending in the very high 90%. So the CSBG budget is laid out in three major categories. We have our program contracts, which is where 78% of the dollar lives, and these are paying for direct services that DYCD does not provide, but we engage our providers and contract with them to provide these services. So the program contracts has a budget of $25.6 million, and that's 78% of the total award that we have to date. Other contractual services are line items that support the direct services, things like technical assistance and so on, but we'll go into that. That has a budget of $2.2 million, and that represents 7% of the award. Rounding out is the DYCD personal services amount, which is $5.2 million, and that represents 16% of the award. So to delve deeper into the program contract section, the NDA portfolio takes up the bulk of the program contracts funds, coming in at $13.3 million. This will likely increase as we go along because, as Ron mentioned, after the first wave of awards have been made for the NDA RFP that starts this year, there is still some money left over in certain categories, and our ACO and program folks are working to award the rest of those funds. So the next time we have a meeting in November, that number will likely be higher. The next item is the Immigration Refugees Assistance or Service for Immigrant Families. That's one of our smallest budgets. It's coming in at just under $600,000. We have 4 program areas that our sister agency HRA carries out on our behalf. The HRA Legal Services Intercity group of contracts, and that's $2.1 million. The New York City Adult Literacy Initiative, or NYCALI, is coming in at $501,000. Fatherhood Initiative is coming in at $2.8 million, and adolescent literacy is just under $830,000. And finally, in the program contract section, we have our Summer Youth Employment Program with a budget of $5.5 million. As I mentioned before, overall, this is a total of $25.6 million. It represents 78% of our budget. And that we're looking at about 21 contracts so far for this amount of money. Our expenses is just under $300,000. But as I said before, these are just expenses for the month of July. Quite a few of our contracts are not yet registered, so they wouldn't be able to submit their invoices until they're registered. You will notice, however, that our payments, our year-to-date payments coming in at $2.9 million is significantly higher than our expenses, and you might wonder why. The reason for that is that DYCD allocates to every CBO who are interested in receiving it an advance on their contract representing 25% of their contract. So we have paid out advances to the tune of just under $1.3 million in NDA, for example, even though we only have expenses for about $124,000. So this is what I mean here. We have payments of 1.6, but we only have expenditures of 1.3. The variance between these two numbers are the advances that we've provided to our CBO so they can get up and running. This is one of the larger differences, but these numbers are just based on the same idea. We have an expense, for example, in adolescent literacy of $3,800, but we've paid out $193,000, and that's because we have provided our providers with an advance. So that's the program contract section. The other contractual services I mentioned are line items that support the direct services. So we have a significant budget of $1.7 million for technical assistance, and these support our CBOs directly. Fiscal field reviews are a budget we set aside to contract with an outside audit firm to provide reviews of our CBOs to ensure that their internal controls and the way they're running their programs are in concert with CSBG's rules and regulations. Fiscal agent services of about $19,000. This DYCD has quite a few, and CSBG in particular, has quite a few providers who are pretty small and not as sophisticated as some larger providers. For those small CBOs, they have the opportunity to join a fiscal agent contract that helps with their books. So not all of these providers join in with this contract that DYCD runs for their benefit, but some do. So this is the fee we will be paying this service, the fiscal agent service, to assist with the bookkeeping for these small CBOs. We have funds set aside for marketing, for publications, for employee development, for travel, technology, board development, stipend for NAB and CAB board members, and central insurance program. And those all total, the budget for that is $2.2 million, and we have no expenses to date, which is very normal. Please don't be alarmed by that. And finally, for this report, we have personal services coming in at $5.2 million, and all the DYCD folks on this team, that this helps to pay part of our salaries. We always close the meeting by looking at a comparison from the last CAB meeting. The last CAB meeting was in June 16th, which is in city fiscal year 22. So this variance that I'm looking at here is not comparing city fiscal year 22 to 23. I'm giving you this is going to tell you how we have closed the year to date. So when we last met in June, we had expenditures for program contracts as $22 million. Year to date, our expenses are 26.4 million, and that represents a 20% increase from when we last met. We had other contractual services of just over $830,000, and we now have expenses of 1.6 million, and that's an 87% increase. Personal services was $4.1 million. We've spent the personal services amount entirely at $5.1 million. And at this time of the year, this is a really good example to go back to the stuff I mentioned about advances. So we provide advances to our CBOs, and throughout the year, you'll notice that the numbers are wider, and then they become narrower, and then they match expenses, match revenue, match payments. And that's because in January of every city fiscal year, our accounts payable unit starts to recoup some of those advances. So let's assume that contractor A received a budget of $100,000. They would have received an advance of $25,000. And if they submitted a invoice every month from July through December of $10,000, let's make that $120,000. So it's a nice rounded number. $120,000 budget, they received 25% of that as an advance, and they submitted an invoice in July for $10,000. DYCD would pay them the entire $10,000. And if they submitted an invoice from July through December for $10,000 each, DYCD reimburses them for the full amount of the invoice. However, come January through June, DYCD starts to recoup those advances. So if they submitted an invoice in January for $10,000, we would only pay them a partial amount of that $10,000. We wouldn't pay them the entire amount. And so we'll keep recouping partially the advance through June. So by the time June comes around, our expenses are equal to our payments. And that's why there's a variance early in the year, but towards the end of the year, our expense and payments match. But anyway, you'll see here that our expenses and our payments are exactly the same. And when we met in June, from June to now, we've increased expenditures and payment to the tune of 23%. And we have set up accruals to close out city fiscal year 22. We expect that we will have a surplus of only about $354,000. So this variance here, we expect that our providers will continue to submit invoices so that when the year is truly closed, our variance will not be $6.2 million, but in the range of $400,000. And that is my presentation. I'm happy to answer questions, clarifications, so listen to suggestions, any and all of those.
Any questions for Artis?
No questions, Susie?
I have a question.
I'm sorry to disappoint you, but you answered my question.
Oh, good.
What's the fringe benefit rate? You have 5 million in personal service. Yes.
Great. That's a great question. This is a man who knows his accounting and budgeting. I appreciate that. So the fringe rate in city fiscal year 23, at the start of every city fiscal year, the Office of Management and Budget sends to every city agency the fringe rate. The fringe rate for city fiscal 23 is 53%. However, DYCD does not use CSBG dollars to pay the fringe. The fringe that Anita, myself, and Rong and so on receives is paid with city tax levy dollars. So only our salaries are paid with CSBG, not the fringe. But that's a great question. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Artis, thank you for your clear and concise report.
My pleasure.
We appreciate your outstanding service.
Thank you. Right back at you.
Thank you.
Have a good night, all.
Good night. We'll now entertain a motion to accept the financial program quarterly report.
Motion to accept. Susie.
Susie, thank you. Seconded by
Second by Greg Hambrick.
Greg. Thank you for the second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Nays? Anyone abstaining? So moved. The executive committee met on August 25th. The meeting began at 6:17. Besides the usual review of the committee reports, we had a review of the CSBG refunding application for fiscal year 2023. Artists, as well as Mr. Saad and Miss Jordan Wilson, explained to us how the 34.5 million will be spent over the next year in the categories. There was a motion to accept the report by Linda. It was seconded by Ariel, and the executive committee voted unanimously to accept it. I will now ask our first vice chair, Linda Walters, to give the governance committee report.
Okay. The committee met met Wednesday, August 24th. So I'm just going to jump right on in. The CAB vacancies, because everybody has the minutes, and I believe everybody has my minutes from my meeting. So A, public sector, then we have 5 mayoral appointees: Office of the Mayor Representative, Office of the Staten Island Borough President Representative. DYCD Intergovernmental Affairs Unit is working to fill these vacancies. Low income sector, all are in the process of candidate search. We have 5 regional representative vacancies and 1 NAB chairperson representative vacancy for Bronx, Queens. 2, CAB attendance. As it is the beginning of a new program year, excuse me, y'all, all members begin at 0 absences until the November CAB in full meeting. 3, excuse me, this is just reiterating in regards to filling out the surveys and how you can do it electronically. So committee needs assessment. CAB members are asked to help with the promotion of the electronic needs assessment survey, which was sent to all CAB members and representatives and can also be found on the first page of the DYCD website. The survey is available in 12 languages, and anyone who is 14 years or older and lives anywhere in the New York City may take the survey. Members are also asked to help promote the public hearings that are underway in each neighborhood development area. And that concludes my meeting agenda. Do I need to entertain a motion or?
I'll call for the motion.
Okay.
Thank you, Linda.
You're welcome.
We'll now entertain a motion to accept the governance committee report.
Gideon Dunkley, so moved.
Gideon, thank you for the first. Seconded by
Seconded by Ariel.
Ariel, thank you for the second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any nays? Anyone abstaining? So moved. I will now ask a good friend, Greg Hambrick, to present the program committee report.
Hi, Mr. Herschel. I'm gonna drop off right here. I'm at work still, and I really have to go to another meeting. Okay, so good night, everyone. Thank you all for this great presentation and this report. Thank you. Have a good evening. Take
Good
care.
evening. Thanks
You're
for
welcome.
attending,
Good
and
night.
thank you for your great work.
Thank you. Have a good night. Thank you, sir.
Good night.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good evening, everyone. Hope everyone's doing well. Again, to the members that were recognized and appointed to the board this evening, I want to extend a welcome to you and look forward to your participation. May seem like a lot of information in this meeting, but don't feel overwhelmed. There are plenty of members here that can help you along and answer any questions you may have. So looking forward to working with you all. So the program committee met on August 17th. I introduced the Commissioner Mike Bobbitt, who opened up the meeting, talking about the Community Needs Assessment Survey. Certainly a common theme in this meeting today, so I don't need to focus on that anymore. It's in full swing, and we've heard a lot of the feedback so far from Astrid, as well as Anita, and as well as the Commissioner's report. After that, Commissioner Bobbitt introduced two directors of DYCD that are part of the Division of Community Development, talking about NDA programs for the fiscal year. So the first presentation was by the Senior Director of Immigration and Literacy, Kathleen Almazar. She talked about the literacy programs and the adult basic education programs, and focused on the curriculum of those programs and the targeted individuals specific to that. Talked a lot about employee training, health, finance training, and so forth. So it was very great conversation. Looks like a very robust curriculum that's focused on literacy there. And then the next presentation was by the Director of NDA Initiatives and Community Action Programs, Ebony Jordan Wilson. And she went over two programs in particular. One focused on economic development that helps entrepreneurs and small businesses to thrive within the NDA communities. Talked about employment opportunities and also talked about resources, obviously, that can help them grow their business, and focused on the importance of them being MWBE certified, which can open up, obviously, other financial opportunities for them to grow their business. And then she also talked about the Safety and Awareness Crime Prevention Program as well. That's focused on 14 years or and older within the community. Based on what we hear on the news, that couldn't be any more important now. So it focused on a lot of the challenges, obviously, within the community to really curb violence and to create safe spaces for our young people and young adults. And then she closed with the Healthy Families Initiative, which is a holistic approach to a lot of the issues that I just discussed. So great presentation by both. We closed out the meeting with Anita again, focusing on the community needs assessment and the importance of the survey and the importance of all of us, as well as our counterparts and people we know in the community, to be able to spread the word about the survey, because that's a huge part of our responsibility on this board, to be able to make sure that the information shared on the survey, we have some input in advising DYCD on where those resources can go. And then the meeting ended. So that is my report for the program committee, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Much appreciated. We'll now entertain a motion to accept the program committee report. Motion to accept.
Motion, Jackie.
Jackie, thank you. Seconded by
Ileana seconds.
Thank you for the second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any nays? Anyone abstaining? So moved. I will now ask Ariel Savransky to be gracious, as she is always, and present her report.
Great, thank you. And you all actually made my job very easy because we covered a lot of the ground that we talked about a few weeks ago in our program, our Strategic Partnerships Committee. We started off by talking about the NAB membership numbers and recruitment updates. We talked about the intergovernmental affairs plans, and hopefully we'll be able to work with Lynette in the next few weeks to plan something for the city council and other elected officials. We talked about the community needs assessment, and I won't go into detail there. You've all heard the ask of us to really get this survey out into our community. So I hope following this meeting, we'll be able to get some more surveys filled out. And then the commissioner gave a great update about the NDA awards that he said began on July 1st. And we're also waiting for those additional awards to be announced. So we should probably hear more at the next meeting about what's going on there. And had a conversation about the kind of changes that we're seeing in the programs this year. That concludes our meeting.
Ariel, thank you very much. I'll now entertain a motion to accept the strategic partnership.
Vasumati Patel.
Ms. Patel, thank you. Seconded by?
Second by Greg Hambrick.
Greg, thank you for the second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any nays? Anyone abstaining? So moved. Thank you all. Old business,
Mr. Chairman, can I just say something?
always.
With the strategic partnerships, Ariel had an emergency and could not be at the meeting. And I just wanted to commend Jackie Rowe Adams for stepping up and chairing the meeting. So
Okay.
thank you, Jackie, again.
Thank you, Jackie, and sorry that I overlooked that point, but really appreciate it.
Thank you, Jackie. Old business, quarter reminder. We had a great meeting. Everyone saw today how important it is for us to achieve quorum in order for us to vote on the crucial items that we needed to vote on. So reminder for the next meeting, and thank you all for attending and making sure that we have quorum. Anita, you sent out a while ago, I think, the conflict of interest certification form.
Yeah, we got most of them in. There are a few people that we don't have yet, so we'll be targeting them in the coming weeks and just to get it in, because the state will probably be auditing us, if not by the end of this month, the beginning of October.
The last item on the old business is the whistleblower protection, local law number 13.
And that was sent in the board packet. Every year we have to send it to members so that you can know your rights. If you see something that is not going well in government, you can you can blow the whistle and be protected. There will be no reprisals, but we're required by the state to give you the law, the actual law every year. So every September we send it out to you.
You. New business. As you see that there's only 3,000 plus surveys, it's crucial and vital that everyone does whatever is in their power to spread the word and get more people to do the surveys, which will enable a clearer picture of the true needs for the citizens and residents of New York City. So please do everything in your power to spread the word and get as many people as possible to,
Absolutely. So this is Jackie. I have a question. As the commissioner, the deputy commissioner, what's his name that spoke? I'm sorry.
The Associate Commissioner, Ron Zhang.
Associate Commissioner. He said in 2 weeks or a couple of weeks, we'll have the paper surveys.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm asking because, so we might not have the time. On the 26th of September, I'm having a big event that I do every year, National Day of Remembrance for all murdered victims. And so I was just thinking, once they come, I could put a table out, maybe get someone to come and do some surveys, you know, because we're gonna have 200-300 people there.
Send me the information, Jackie. I think we will have them by then. We were told that it would be, we were told the 15th is when we would like to get them, but by the 19th, we will have them. So I think we'll have them in time for your event.
So I'll send you I'll make sure you get the information or the flyer. I don't know if y'all received it as of yet, but I'll make sure it come directly to you, Anita.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. That'd good. At least we'd get some from there.
Yes. Yes. Thank you.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Thank you.
any questions? Okay, before we adjourn, I just want to take a moment to reflect. Today is the 8th of September, with 9/11 just a few days away. 21 years ago,
Yes.
New York City suffered an incredible hit. Thousands of lives were lost. Tens of thousands of families were impacted. The incredible valor and heroism of the first responders.
Yep.
So many of them who lost their lives running into the towers to save so many others. So I'd like for us to reflect, to honor the memory of those that were lost, to appreciate the members of law enforcement and FDNY and the EMS and first responders who did so much on that day and the days following, the months following. So may God bless the first responders. God bless the souls of the heroes that passed. Bless the families that were impacted then and are still feeling the loss of that terrible day. I thank you all for attending this important meeting, and I will now entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Greg Hambrick, I entertain a motion to adjourn.
Greg,
Second
second.
by Basumati Patel.
Ms. Patel, all those in favor say aye.
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 Hi.
Any nays? So moved. Thank you all. Have a wonderful evening. And we look forward to seeing you all in November.
Happy
night.
New Year, Chairman
Thank
Heschel,
you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
and everybody else who celebrates.
Thank you.
Good night. Thank you all.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Good night,
Good
everybody.
night. Thank you.